Blog Talk Radio.
You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walking His Ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Walking His Ways Impact Voice. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr., broadcasting again live from my hometown, my city of Mobile, Alabama. Hope everybody's having a great day, of course. I know with a lot of stuff going on within the media, within coronavirus. I know a lot of people are repairing themselves, things of that nature, of course. The main simple thing I just want to share, my opinion is, you should stay clean anyway. You should make sure you wash your hands. You should make sure you take care of yourself. You're keeping yourself up. Taking the proper nourishment for your body, of course. That's something the media is not telling you, of course. If you constantly take vitamins like you're supposed to, like vitamin C, every day, help build your immune system. Once you build your immune system, you won't be affected by a lot of sickness like the flu, common colds, things like that. But it's just to scare you and get you into fear. My opinion is, but if you constantly taking care of your body like you're supposed to, you won't have to worry about those things. You won't be affected by those things, of course. And you just have to take the proper precautions every day. So you have to do that. Take care of yourself like me on a regular basis. I make sure I take my multivitamins every day. I've been doing that since they've been talking about that virus. Vitamin C, I take that every day, which is 1,000 milligrams, which I bought that from the vitamin shop. Changing your diet, of course. Make sure we eat the proper food. Make sure we get the proper nourishment for our bodies. That you should do on a regular basis. Don't let someone tell you. You need to make sure you start washing your hands. Make sure you do this and do that. You should be doing that anyway on a regular basis. And I just want to share a script right quick before we get off into the interview with my guest. I'm going to be coming out of, it's a passage script that just laid dear to my heart before we get started. And I'm going to be coming out of Yochanan, which is Hebrew for John. But I'm going to be coming out chapter 1. And I just want to read when they say the 3rd John, verse 2 says this. It says, Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So it's the will of the Most High, Yah, for you to be in health. So being healthy is very important. Being healthy is part of God's will for your life. It's not the will of God for us to suffer with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, all these things, all these negative things that attacks our body. That's not the will of the Most High. Remember, Yeshua said that he didn't come to, that the enemy come to kill, steal, and destroy. Remember, he came that we might have life, have life more abundantly. So that's the will of the Most High for your life. We have to come start taking ourselves, use the wisdom, use the proper precautions. Get out there, do some research, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we do so much research on negative stuff. Let's start doing research on the positive stuff. I just want to share that. But I'm going to go to kick it out with my interview. I have a lovely young lady here in the city of Mobile. She's a book author. She has a book out called Reconstruction. It's a story about Corrie Matthews. I hope I said that right, of course. She's going to be talking about her book, talking about her. Get to know this amazing young woman as she's ready to join me here on Walking His Ways Impact Voice. And I just want to welcome her to Walking His Ways Impact Voice.
Hello, how are you? Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Ursula, for joining us here on Walking His Ways Impact Voice. I thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to talk about your book, the things you got going on. Talk to a new audience for the very first time, for those who never came in contact with you, but get to know you for the very, very first time. So once again, welcome to Impact Voice.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. It really is.
And once again, I thank you. And we're finna ready to jump off into this interview, of course. Introduce yourself to the audience. Let everybody know, get the insight of who you really are.
Well, I would have to say, first of all and foremost, I'm definitely a survivor, an overcomer of many things. And of course, I don't want to start the introduction as generic, but I can honestly say I have fought through a lot of situations and was still able to come out on top. And that was the whole reason of me writing Reconstruction, to show people that no matter what you go through in life, it doesn't define who you are. Um, so one thing I have learned throughout my closer walk with God, of course, there's always a process before the promise. And before I rededicated my life to God 3 years ago, I didn't understand that process. It was always the questions of why me, whereas now I look at everything, as every trial, every setback, every disappointment, as Him building my endurance and preparing me to the woman whom He intended me to be. So I'm definitely a child of God. But just as it says in Proverbs 3, trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't depend on your own understanding, because that's when the road seems rocky, when you start visioning things the way you see them versus what He says it is. So with that being said, over the last few years, of course, I'm learning how to be a better mother, a better daughter, a better sister, friend, but most importantly, a servant to God.
And that's what's up, to have that mindset, the state of mind that you have to, always want to get better, and also that you allow Him more as your source, more Him as your guide. The Word of God lets us know there's a lamp unto our feet. So we know that light lead us and guide us, like you said, leading not into our own understanding, but in knowledge Him should make our pathway straight. And another thing, piggyback on what you were saying, He said, if anyone so their desire to come after Him, first of all, we have to deny ourselves and take up our cross and follow Him daily. And that's a big step for anyone to take. That's why He said whosoever. So that's really big with that
Exactly,
mind
because
that
He
you
gives
have
you a
being determined.
choice.
Go ahead.
Yes.
And I agree with you.
But yeah,
Everything's about choice. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. We just dialogue. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, but everything's definitely by choice. He gives you that option to make your own decisions.
And that's true. He don't force anything on you. You gotta be. I think about Isaiah 119. It said if we be willing and obedient, we should eat the good of the land. The two things. Will First of all, I gotta be willing before you do the obedient part. So we gotta be willing first in order to be obedient. So that's very important. And somebody need to hear that today. So I'm glad he took it to that direction on that one. My next question is, like I said, I read your bio, and you stated that you started writing at an early age. What age did you start it?
Oh wow, I was literally a kid. I wanna say like around 9 or 10. I was in elementary school. Basically starting off with poetry and just coming into just writing my feelings, and it's easier for me to write than to actually verbalize what I'm feeling. So writing became therapy to me. And I just, whatever I was feeling, I would just write it down. I have so many journals, so many poetry books, and I still have them to this day. So just, writing, I've been writing since I was a kid.
Oh, so it's already birthed within you then. So it was already embedded on the inside of you, and you just ran with it, and that's good. And then I know with writing, and I know after high school you went into the military. How long did you serve in the military?
That was actually very short-lived. So to give you the actual story on that, after high school, I didn't want to go straight to college. I was one of those kids, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I just know I wanted to get away and be free, or what I called it. So I signed up for the Army, and I went to basic training. I was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So I did basic training, and then I got out on a medical discharge. So I never actually served after training, but I did sign up to go in and do the training. But after the training, I actually got out a week before September 11th.
Okay, then. So in the midst of that short term in the military, do you learn anything that you still apply to your life today?
I did actually. Is when you go into basic training, I know a lot of people, you've heard the stories of the drill sergeants and how hard they are on you and you have to be in order, but it teaches you self-discipline, because anything in this world is mind over matter. It's all about what you think, how you think it. If you can't control the mind, because it's a very, very powerful thing, then, you tend to be everywhere. So, that was the most important thing that I did learn being in basic training, and then working together, being a team, and it was a really good experience. It really was.
And like I said, I know that key word discipline. We know discipline is very important. The word of God is all about discipline itself. And part of the fruit of the spirit is having self control. So that really plays in your walk also with your spiritual walk with God as well also. With being the disciplinary and staying focused and not letting our emotions run wild. 'Cause I know as human beings, we have that where our emotions just run wild on us and we just be all over the place, and having that disciplined lifestyle is very good to have. And I know you talk about your book, Reconstruction. Give the listening audience what the book is about, what inspires you to write the book, and what can they get out of the book.
So Reconstruction is about brokenness. It highlights real life situations in ways that readers can relate to, but also help people understand. It's fiction, of course. But I also wanted to help people know that God is graceful. He's merciful. When you grow up in religion, I know me, I grew up in a Baptist church. And you're taught that, of course, the wrong more you do, basically, the closer you are to hell, or you must do so many good deeds in order for you to get into heaven. And that's not how things should be. Your connection with God should be a relationship, not a religion. So there's a better understanding when you look at him as a loving father rather than a disciplinarian. So my thing with writing a book, it's like no matter what we go through in life, it doesn't matter what happens, but it doesn't define our purpose, because he all made us for a divine purpose. And I mean, God is almighty. He doesn't make junk. So, of course, we live in a fallen world and the enemy wants to destroy us. And of course, he does that through our minds. So I wanted to highlight a character who carries all these burdens that we go through in life, but she still overcomes every obstacle that's faced in front of her, because people have to understand when we're transparent with our issues and we let others know what we've been through, not as gossiping, not as, oh, girl, let me tell you about this. That's not how it's supposed to be. But when you're transparent with people and you let them see you for who you really are, take off that mask and just show them that, you're not going through this kind of stuff by yourself. I've been there. Let me tell you how I've overcome this versus, oh, no, you didn't do that or you shouldn't be doing that. That is not what God intended for life to be. So I wanted to highlight that in Reconstruction. Corrie, of course, the character in the book, she's a stripper, and she goes through so much in life from childhood up to her adulthood, and she just feels like the world is against her. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who can relate to that. The world is against you. But she ends up finding community and friendship, whereas she used to be to herself. She was embarrassed. She felt like if she told people what she went through, they'd judge her versus helping her. And in the end, she comes out better. So that's what Reconstruction is about.
Okay, and that's what's up. I mean, taking that transparency of this particular young woman, the things she went through, the things she experienced, her background. Everybody has different backgrounds of life. Some may dodge in this, some dodge in that. But we know that we all came from junk, but he brought us to that. He cleans us up and brings us to that marvelous light. And outside the box with your book, do you write your book? Is this book based for believers or is it based for everybody? I know everybody has different demographic they're gearing towards too. So is it geared towards believers or is it geared towards those who may not be a believer?
It's geared towards everybody, and I say that because when you read the book, Corrie wasn't saved. Corrie didn't know God. Corrie didn't believe God. She didn't trust God. She didn't do any of that. She felt like she was in control of everything that was happening to her life. She felt like if she does something this way, then this is the outcome. And everything was just falling apart for Corrie. And she had to learn that, of course, by building faith, understanding, wisdom, that, you know, you're not in this alone. You can't do this by yourself. So it's for everybody. And like I said, again, I highlighted it. I wanted it to be for those who are broken and feel like they don't have anyone, because I want them to understand that they're not alone, but also for the believers, because like I say, I grew up in a church, and I know I felt some kind of way for people judging me all the time and making me feel like I didn't belong there. But the thing is, for someone to feel like they're holier than thou, and you know the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, what are you doing with that information? Like, you can hold a conversation with another intellectual in church, but how are you helping the people who don't know God? So that's the whole reason, like I said, is for both, because I want people to know that you don't pass judgment. It's not your place to judge anyone. You're supposed to be leading them. And then for those who don't know him, to know that they're not by themselves, and no matter what they're going through, he still loves them.
And that's what it's all about, you know. And also with the book, I know it is out. It is available now. So where can the listeners purchase your book?
So it is on Amazon. You can order it from Amazon.com, Reconstruction, the Story of Corrie Matthews. And I do have copies as well. So I know with everything going on with the coronavirus, you know, I'm sure Amazon is probably not delivering as much, but I do have some books left. So if someone wants to, you know, DM me or reach out to me to where, you know, I can send it off to them, or if they're in Mobile, I can definitely deliver it. That's no issue.
And that's what's up. Like I said, I know in our city we got a lot of gifted men and women here in our city, and I know a lot of people do a lot of great things within our city. You know, turning their dreams into reality, and of course you're, you know, benefiting from that, turning your dreams into reality. With being a book author. Do you have any other more books coming soon?
So I am working on part 2 of Reconstruction, because I've had so many people who've read it already, and they're like, okay, I need to know what happens next. What happens to Corrie? So I did start working on a part 2. There will be a part 2 coming out. I'm not going to tell exactly when, but that's definitely in the making.
So do you see your book, you know, becoming even a TV series or basically a movie? Because basically how it describes, like, it actually become a movie or a TV series.
I don't know. You know, I really don't know what God has in store for me. My whole thing when I first published Reconstruction is I said, if I can reach one person, I feel like I've succeeded in what God has asked me to do. I've done exactly what he told me to do in that journey of writing that book. So, you know, if it does, then, you know, that's just a blessing in itself. But I mean, basically right now I just feel like it is already doing more than I can even see or expect.
And that's what it's all about, you know, getting the word out, being obedient, of course, and being that example. You know, what the Bible says, one plant, one water, but at the end of the day, God gets the increase. So we know seeds are always being planted, they're always being watered, but at the end, he's going to get the increase. And my next question is, I ask this to my guests all the time, and the Proverbs talks about a good name. You know, Proverbs is better than riches. So, I mean, a good name is better than riches, of course. So at the end of the day, what do you want your legacy to be?
I just want people to remember me of someone who had a good heart. You know, it's like I was a follower of Christ. I did my best to lead people to Christ. You know, I don't want to get to the gates of heaven and he's like, I gave you this one person and you didn't do what I asked you to do with them. You know, why didn't you tell them about me? Why didn't you lead them to me? So that's the only legacy. You know, I don't want to be famous. I didn't write the book, you know, for a movie, like I said, but I just want people to remember me as someone who has a good heart and loving.
And that's what it's all about. And staying humble, staying a humble servant, and being focused and doing what he calls you to do. So that's always a beautiful thing. All that by itself, that's a beautiful thing. Um, do you have any final remarks for our listening on before we get off the air?
I don't. Thank you again for having me, and I hope people definitely go out and get the book, Reconstruction, the Story of Corrie Matthews. I believe it will change your life. It is really a life. It's going to make you look at yourself. It's not just reading about someone else, but actually digging deep into yourself and getting a better understanding.
And that's what it's all about. Without our getting, let's get a good understanding, of course. And Ursula, thank you again for being part of the broadcast here on Walking This Way's Impact Voice. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of the interview. That means a lot to me.
Thank you again for having me, and it's been an honor, and I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to speak with you.
And I appreciate you once again. And like I said, we thank everybody for tuning in here on today's broadcast. Hope what was said was meaningful for you. Support what Ursula got going on. Get in contact with her about a book if you're interested. I purchased the book myself, of course. So let's support each other and what we're doing. It's all about sowing the seed. It's not about doing things with the wrong motives, but doing things with a pure heart. Support each other, encourage one another. Always build each other up, because we got enough people tearing each other down. We got to learn how to start building each other up in these times that we're in. We're in some trying times, ladies and gentlemen. Times that God is getting our attention, of course. A lot of stuff we have to go back to Him. Really, we have to go back to Him. I mean, we've been, like I posted my page earlier today, we've been in this wilderness way too long. It's time for us to go back home to Him. He waiting on us with open arms to go back home, just like that parent. That parent, when they see their child, they have so much joy knowing their child was out there doing any and everything. But when that child comes back home, that puts joy on that parent's face. That's the same way God looked at us. We've been in this wilderness far too long, so let's go back unto Him and let's get things right while we got it. Work while it's day, when night, when no man shall work, when no man shall work. So let's get it right while we're alive today. Get our lives lined up. Turn from our wicked ways. Turn from the things that we're doing. Turn from the things that we know it's wrong and we still keep doing it. It's about self-examination, ladies and gentlemen. Let's examine ourselves on the regular basis. Don't look at nobody else. Look about what we're doing. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, what do I need to do to change? I know I need to change by myself, and start making them necessary preparations, necessary changes, because we could be anything in front of a group of people, but it's how we conduct ourselves behind closed doors. That's when the real you come out, behind closed doors. So, if things are not pleasing to God, let's start cutting those things out. What is our thoughts, our actions, things that it's not lining up within the word. We have to turn from it. And like you said, like the Bible says, we have to deny ourselves. So deny yourself on a regular basis. And like I said, God got everything for us. He's so patient with us. He's very patient with us. And we just have to turn back to Him. Once again, y'all keep yourselves clean, of course. Keep washing your hands like you're supposed to. Like I said, take the vitamins that we need for our bodies. Vitamin C, we have to take that every day. That helps with our immune system, along with many other things we need. Go to the vitamin shop. Buy these things for your bodies, for your family, for your children. It's out there. People always say, well, it's expensive to eat healthy. It's expensive to buy all these things, but you got to think long term about your body. It's not about McDonald's. It's not about Burger King, fried chicken, all that stuff that we don't need for our bodies. Drinking sodas all day, every day. We gotta drink water every day. Eight glasses a day, I think. Take care of yourself. Exercise. Because the pharmaceutical company is not going to tell you the right things that you need. They're going to put you on a different medication to keep you sick. If you're on this particular medication, you got to take that next medication. And some doctors not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you, well, you need to change your diet and start exercising. They're not going to tell you that. Because if you start doing that and you do it on a regular, that's going to put them out of business. So they got to keep you saying, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need this, do this. To get you on this medication, it's about making money. So do the research. Take care of yourself. The mind is something else. It makes you feel like it costs too much money to do all this stuff. No, it's not. It's very simple. Think long term. Think about yourself. Think about your family. Think about your loved ones that you want to spend, have a good time with, and not be all sick. Because us within the black community, we lead in all types of negative categories when it comes to our health habits. We lead in high cholesterol. We lead in diabetes. We lead in high blood pressure. You name it, we lead in all these negative categories, and we still eat this stuff. Because the Bible said, my people destroy for lack of knowledge because they rejected it. So, like I said, start eating healthy. Start taking care of yourself. Start investing in yourself. Go to the store. Look up stuff. The internet is open for us. God used the internet for us. Some use it for a negative. There's a lot of positive stuff we can use. Do some research on the stuff we can eat, the healthy food we're supposed to eat, and watch it, your life change. I'm not saying this that what somebody told me. I'm saying this because I'm learning this stuff for myself with my diet. I eat turkey every day, vegetables. I make sure I make my own smoothies. I don't go to like any other store. I make my own at home. Green tea. I drink green tea all the time. I do the honey all the time. Last time comes to working on myself in this time, in this season of my life, because I'll be 38 next month, but I also want to make sure I'm staying healthy. I'm still a young man. I just will want to be healthy for the long term, of course, and fulfill the duty, the job that God gave me to do here in the earth. So I want everybody to be encouraged, and Ursula, thank you again for being part of the broadcast. And I'll see y'all next time here on Walking His Ways, Impact Voice. Till then, everybody have a blessed day. See you next time. Peace.
You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walking His Ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed.